Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode of the Winter Isle. And well, it is not exactly winterish what you can see in the background right now. This is because this footage is recorded from the actual test park I opened once the DLC dropped. And yeah, after I built the looping coaster, or actually this was kind of at the same time, I wanted to build this Mack Coaster, and I had this in mind to make this for the Winter Isle. As I said, I didn't really like the old coaster much. I was really not happy with how the first coaster iteration I made for this Winter Isle was done, even though I said that this is more or less an approach on not being too realistic. I already told you in that episode that I can't really, I can't really go for a completely unrealistic layout. I don't know, it's changed. Back then I could really ignore that. I was just happy with being able to build a coaster like however I wanted, but I can't do this. I know too much about coasters by now that I don't want to build another weird coaster. That's not, I'm not saying that this coaster over here will be super realistic and super incredibly nice and what's not. But at least it is a coaster that somehow could be built and that is not too crazy. But it is, I think and I hope it is as unique as it can be to fit in this Winter Isle, because the layout of this Winter Isle, like the idea about this is that this kind of little extinct old fishing harbor would then have a coaster that attracts people to get on this island and pay some money for the local fishing people, whatever. So they don't only have this kind of ride over there, and I imagine that this isle is maybe even located close to the mainland where there is like a bigger holiday park or something, so that this could be very well a daily trip where you have included a ride on the coaster, for example. And that said, it kind of is a bit inspired by Wildfire in Sweden, even though this isn't a proper park, but it is very terrain-lastic. It's very terrain heavy, so to say, that the main theming is done with terrain, so to say, and it does really hug around the terrain. So I'm building this over here, as you can see already, in a slightly raised position, since I wanted to make this go underneath the ground later on. I had this idea in mind, like after the first few corners I really had already pretty much in my head how I wanted to have this coaster on the island, and so I went for it in here. I didn't use the 4-meter technique because I feel like, again, the input-output of this is, for me at least at the moment, it's not viable. I mean, yeah, you get the coaster a lot smoother, and yeah, I know how to do that by now, but the time I have to spend doing this is like, it's insane. And I love the results. I love, for example, watching the videos of Variable Gaming. He really knocks them out of the park. They are really incredibly smooth what he did and does still. And it's I can't really say that I don't want to make him as smooth as he does, for example, but he's only doing this, and this is super cool because he has found his niche and wants to do this. But I do want to make theming, I do want to buildings, I want to do all the stuff around, and so the time I spend into my coaster is maybe not too much available, or maybe not so much available as he has, because he's only building coasters. So that's just an example why I'm not going to do the 4-meter technique, which obviously would lead to better results. Let's not talk about this, because it's true. Like there is no point in not saying that. But yeah, so what I really wanted to do with this layout is I wanted to make a snappy, nice launched Mack layout. I mean, it's something I really wanted to do for quite a while, and I love how the coaster looks in game. I love how they did this. I love the train. Actually, there is like a split opinion about the trains. Like, many people don't like it. I have to say I like the train. I don't really understand this time. Like many times before, I did understand the complaints about trains and stuff. This time, honestly, I don't really understand it. I have to admit, I really don't know why this would be a problem and why you complain. I compared this to a lot of images I could find from various Mack hyper and launched coaster trains, and I have to say they did a great job of covering the looks of it, of making realistic elements like the slightly raised seating position, these kind of triangular mountings you have beneath those seats. And yeah, obviously the train doesn't look one by one. I mean, it still at the end of the day is a game, and you're not allowed to basically copy a train. I know that for some trains they basically did this, but you still need to maintain a little bit of an art style that is somewhat realistic to Planet Coaster and not to the real world, and it has to fit various train designs, because since we don't have exchangeable train designs for one single train, like for example we have different trains of different train types, but these are completely different train types, like a Mack, Intermin, whatnot, you know, Vekoma coaster, B&M stand-up dive and whatever, but we don't have, you know, we can't do single things about one exact coaster type, and this is why this one coaster type has to fit many other styles available out there, and this makes it incredibly complicated to achieve a design that suits everybody. And I have to admit, I like the design quite a lot and I'm happy with it, and yeah, I just explained why. So we are, as you can see, already quite a while now in the island again, so now it is again fitting a bit better to the cold days we have. Well, actually we don't have cold days at the moment. The December is like the new April or whatsoever, here in Germany at least. Like we have, at the moment I'm looking at my phone and we have freaking 17 degrees on a Saturday. It is incredible in December. On the 22nd December, it's insane. I don't know what to say. I really hate it, to be honest, but yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about this coaster here then. So as you can see, I really start already to do the little terrain work over here. I can already tell you that the end of the train will be changed. I don't really know if I do it already in this episode or if you see that later. I changed quite a bit about the coaster. You haven't seen too much of it in the video because there were a lot of things, a lot of transitions I really wasn't happy with. Yeah, it wasn't snappy enough, it was way too spread out, so I really I tightened some corners. But there's one thing we have to talk about, and I think no one can deny that for whatever reason, they made this coaster incredibly smooth. Like, even that I not use the 4-meter technique, my coaster is pretty smooth. Like, I never actually got another coaster that smooth in that less time. Like, insanely smooth. I don't know what they did. I experienced the same with the Schwarzkopf coaster. It's exactly the same way. I haven't built the Vekoma SLC yet, so I can't say too much about it, but I hope it's not as smooth, because that wouldn't be realistic. By no means, that wouldn't be realistic. No, but I'm just kidding. These coasters, I don't know what they did, but insanely smooth. It's such a pleasure to ride them. Also for me, the FPS have been increased incredibly. I don't know what they did. I just love what they did. My FPS are like 20 to 25% better. In average, like on average, like in every park. I even reopened Camel Kingdom and it would be playable again. I don't know what they did exactly, but this park would be playable again. And yeah, oh, by the way, here's the change I made to the coaster. I just changed the last part of the coaster. I wanted to have the coaster still maintained quite a nice speed, so I wanted to take this and make another nice left-right transition in here, because I felt this would be a lot better. I found kind of a way how I can approach building a coaster, like as a good compromise. Like I didn't do the 4-meter technique, but I found another technique I'm maybe going to talk about in another episode again, because we are now already going slowly to the end of this episode. I will put a screenshot at the end of this coaster, how the whole layout looks, and yeah, then hopefully you can judge it a bit better than from the video. And in the next episode, we are already going to start theming this a little bit more, and yeah, bring this into the whole concept. Because as you may have seen, I have built this coaster on the empty island and then just recopied the harbor in. Reason being is that I had some issues with the water and I couldn't refill the water in, so I needed to use an older safe where the water was still in and built this in here, and then I copied the harbor in, and I figured it was easier to copy the harbor in than vice versa, so that's the reason why there is no harbor in here. You can see right now, but yeah, in the next episode it will be there. Yeah, but that's it. I hope you enjoyed this coaster build, and I can't wait to hear your feedback on the layout. That's why you will see now a little bit of a screenshot of the whole layout, and yeah, see you then in the next episode. Until then, have a great day and bye bye.